Alright guys, bit of an update from Spain. First thing is, I know some of you may not even be aware, but we're actually living near Torrevieja in the sense that we're sort of on the outskirts. But we are going to be moving back to La Mata in the next few months as well. I've had a few people mention it, and myself, I find the same. It's not the same as La Mata. There's a lot of people that have moved up to La Mata from around here. And said it's very different, and I agree. And this is why when people ask me why properties are a bit more expensive in La Mata compared to here, I would have to say it's because a lot of it's to do with the types of people and some of the mentality you deal with. There's a lack of sense of community in some of these areas, and don't get me wrong, I'm not talking about San Luis, I'm talking about Torrevieja. As a whole, there's different, you know, the sense of community in some of these areas is not good. Now, the area itself, from a personal point of view, is fine, in the sense that got a swimming pool, got the tennis court, adequate parking, but just no real community. La Mata, on the other hand, is like a village in a town. You know, at the end of the day, you have your fresh bread from the bakers. You've got the butchers. You've got the community stuff going on in the plaza on a regular basis. So like there's concerts and things, even when it's out of holiday season. It seems busier with events outside the holiday season, almost like it's for the locals after dealing with a busy tourism season. But it has a sense of community. We know people in most of the restaurants, we know people in most of the businesses, and it's like a village. You know, at the end of the day, it is a bit like a village. And we've had a few people contacted us because they've moved there recently, and I'm sure they'll say the same. It's very, very similar. And those are the sort of main reasons we're going to move back. And part of this update as well is I want to talk about the swimming pool. You know, I was getting the pH kit to test it. They've actually closed the swimming pool and they're actually doing some repairs on it now. So obviously somebody else has flagged up the same issue, but what I find completely bizarre, but also understand, is that they've waited till holiday season to shut the swimming pool. It's been empty all winter, but at no point had they thought about doing some servicing or whatever. But like I said, I also understand that as well from the point of view, if they're not getting all the community fees, which they may not be, because I haven't got the records of who's been paying what, but also if it's a case where I find in some of the other locations that the president of the community isn't even here, which is quite common, then when they come on holiday and find the swimming pool is not what they expected, they suddenly do something about it because it affects them directly. Because although they may get messages off other people, a lot of the time they won't do anything. They won't action it. And I've had this the same with even with the last apartment in La Mata, where the building president would say there's not a lot you can do about something, yet was getting his fixed the same day. You know, that's what I'm talking about. That sort of stuff goes on. Now the car saga, I haven't put the car company on there where I bought it from yet, because I don't know if they bought it in the state it was in, or it's a case of something they weren't aware of. But they're actually taking it to Vauxhall now. I did get a repair done with them where they just had to reset the filters and have a look at it. And when I got it back, I was getting there off the engine, and I'm like, that's not right. I opened it up and I could see oil around the top of the head of the engine. So now I took it to them. They give me another car to use, and because we've had this car now for about 3-4 weeks, I think. And basically, the owner of the garage was on holidays, come back, and now it's going to Vauxhall. They're getting Vauxhall to actually deal with it. Now the big thing here is, I suspect that Vauxhall is going to come back with some expensive repairs, and ultimately it's under warranty for me. That's why I'm not too fussed about it. But at the same time, it highlights the problem with mechanics in Spain. And I will say this, it highlights the problem with mechanics in Spain. And I will get some people complain and say, man, that's unfair, there's this guy down the road, you know what? There is some major garages here that destroy people's cars that I'm aware of. The guy at La Mata is a rogue, in my personal opinion. He's way overcharging. At the same time, he's actually damaging cars and then going, oh, look, it's just broke. I'll just fix it for you for another 500 euros. That is quite common. When I took the Astra in for its first electronic fault, when it come out, it had 3 more, and the guy is sitting there going, oh, it cost another 45 euros to get rid of those. And I'm like, but it didn't have them till you touched it. You know, how can you turn around and tell me it's that I should pay for something you've just broke? And I knew straight away that all he's done is he's done that with some of the cables, so the sensors are disconnected a little bit. So it looks like there's a load of faults, but all he has got to do is push the plugs back on, and away it went, because I fixed them myself. So from that point of view, yes, there is opportunities to be a mechanic here in Spain, and yes, there's some good mechanics around, and I'm quite happy to promote any good mechanics in the same way as people with a car hire. I'm quite happy to get involved in that and help promote some good car hire companies as well, because there's a lot of rogues on that as well. There is this thing where they'll take your credit card details and they'll put a charge on there which isn't actually charged, it just holds the money, in the sense that they can cash it in, but at the same time it just sits. Why do you do that? Well, what they're doing is a lot of time they'll hold money for months after you've gone back to the UK or whatever, and they'll say, well, it's in case there was something wrong with the car. Do you know what? When I pick the car up, I get the opportunity to go around it and look and say, that's scratched on the wing, that's the windscreen wiper's not working properly, I get in and drive. When I bring it back 2 weeks later and there's another dent on it, and I go, oh, that was my fault, claim on the insurance or whatever, that's fine. But at no point do I go around the car and say everything looks fine, take the video and everything, and then get in there, and then I come back and it's exactly the same, and you go 3 months later, oh, we found a problem in the car. Yes, you may have found a problem in the car, but another 20 people have had the car since I had it. Why would you think this is normal? So from my personal point of view, I'll quite happily promote good companies, and at the end of the day, I think that's where we need to be focusing this channel, which is trying to help small businesses here that are doing well, in the sense that they're doing a good job, and trying to hinder some of the bigger companies which are doing a bad job but stealing money. And I do see that a lot of this stuff as stealing. I met with Gareth yesterday as well. Gareth come up from Murcia to meet with him. A great meeting. We come up with some very positive stuff, and like even himself, he brought up a very key one, because he's just having his residencia sorted out. The first lawyer he went to wanted 500 euros. The second one was 150. If you want residencia doing, we'll sort it for 150. There you go. If you want NIE doing, we're doing them for about 30 euros. And what we'll do is April will go through the forms with you, put things together, go down there with you. She'll deal with the local police for you, because April speaks Spanish, and she'll do that, and then she'll come back. If you need somebody to assist, because somebody actually asked about going somewhere to look at a car, I don't mind doing that, but at the same time, we're not in a position yet, not yet, to deal with car transfers and things. Don't get me wrong, we will get there. It's just something I haven't looked at yet. But we are going to expand to cover a lot of the services ourselves. We already do the pool maintenance, we already do the locksmithing stuff, we already do construction maintenance, renovations, housing changeover, key holding, and many other things. And if you haven't heard us mention it, doesn't matter. You're free to ask us. You're free to message me below. I'll put my email here, and you can contact me directly. There is some stuff that I'm chatting with Gareth at the moment, which will make this easier for other people as well later on. If you're not that savvy with emails and things, we will be doing some stuff to make that much easier for people to get in contact. Another important thing is you can contact us if, for example, you're pulled over for speeding or whatever, and April, because April speaks Spanish, she can deal with the Guardia on the phone for you. Things like that. If you need somebody to go to the doctor's clinic, you're not feeling comfortable with dealing with the reception staff and the doctor. The doctors are normally pretty good. You know, a lot of the doctors speak English anyway, but the reception staff can be a bit awkward because I think they're getting sick and tired of people just speaking English and expecting them to speak English. So they'll actually pretend they don't speak English sometimes. But ultimately, we'll help where we can. So if you do have a problem, feel free to get in touch. The issue relating to somebody brought up, I've got another video I'll upload after this one, relating to squatters. Squatters are a nightmare here. This country is more of a socialist country, so there's a lot of rights for tenants and squatters and things, which may seem very unfair, but that's the society you're living in. But at the same time, the UK has some horrible squatter rights as well if you own a building. So from that side, we can help where we can, but ultimately it's very difficult. We can help put the wheels in motion for an eviction process, that sort of stuff. But there is no quick fix. You're looking at about a year of getting those people out, unless they leave by themselves. Or you squat the squat, which is basically when they go out for the day or whatever, you move in, change the locks and sit on the house. They can't get back in. It's your property anyway. You've just done what they did to you, and there's nothing wrong with doing that either. But I know some of you people may feel uncomfortable with that. And if you do need somebody to squat the squat, get in touch as well, because it's not something I've looked into, but I may be able to find some characters that will quite happily sit in your house for you. But how much that'll cost, I haven't even looked at it, because obviously these people would actually have to sit and wait for these people to go out, then move into your house and just hold the house until you took it back over from them, which obviously is not going to be cheap for somebody that makes that full-time job for a period of time to get people out of your property. But at the same time, it may be a last resort, maybe the fastest way to do it. It's entirely up to you, but I'll see if I can source some people that can help you with that. What else I got for an update? Yeah, we talked about the mechanics, the locksmithing stuff. I'm actually doing the locks here. These are test locks. Basically what you do is you sit and practice with your lock picks, because this is a new type of lock to me. This is just like a normal lock in the sense that you put your key in it. You can see this is like very typical dimple type key that you find in many places here in Spain. And what you do, obviously it just works like a normal lock, because it is, and you just sit here and you pick them open and get familiar with picking that type of lock, so that if somebody does get locked out, I can open the door for them. I'm looking at areas where I know people are getting overcharged, and I'll be honest with you, I'm just looking at making around 2,000 euros across the board a month. I'm not looking at getting rich, I'm just looking at a steady income here, so I can do all this sort of stuff full time. So if somebody calls me at 2 in the morning, yes, do expect the locksmith charge to be a bit higher because you called me at 2 o'clock in the morning, but ultimately it's still going to be way cheaper than calling anybody else out. And for being reasonable cost, and I've got to admit that is an important factor for me, because I know a lot of you guys ain't got a lot of money to spend, and even if you did, I'm all for quality of service. At the end of the day, I'm all for reasonable pay for a reasonable job, or reasonable pay for a good job is even better. But ultimately we are developing things, we are doing maintenance stuff, we are doing last week somebody asked me to put some shelves up for them. I had no problem doing that, and I am looking at getting a load of tools brought down from Germany at the minute. I'm going to order a load of stuff, well I assume screw fixes in Germany now, but I'm going to order a load of stuff down, so there'll be a lot more equipment as well, which makes a lot of stuff easier for me as well. And that's part and parcel of this, because a lot of the time people don't have the tools. So when you go, oh, can you do this? Or somebody says, right, I'm going to hang a picture up. Right, I haven't got a drill, I haven't got a hammer, I haven't got the roll plug, I haven't got the screws. Where I've got to admit, a lot of the older buildings here, the construction is not the best either. So when you try and just like hammer a nail, which is what some people do, the concrete just chips. You're better off actually putting a roll plug in there and then fixing into that. Give yourself a solid long-term solution rather than a nail that will slowly work its way out or pull the whole wall down. I say whole wall, it's a bit unfair, but I mean, if you put like a coat hanger, for example, one of these ones where you've got the pins, where if the wall's bad, you will get breakout over a period of time as they start pulling all the nails and everything down, purely because the concrete mix isn't very good. But anyway, that's enough for me today, and thanks for watching.